which means it's not about what you think it's about. But it's a challenge I want to leave with you tonight as we begin to see that there is a need for more of us to be down in that hole than were there when we came together this evening. And when I say down in the hole, I'm not talking about the hole of poverty or the hole of sin. I'm talking about that place in which you find yourself being aimed upon by the Word of God to get out of these walls and engage people in such a way that you not only get to share with them about Jesus, but you touch their lives and impact their lives. I want to set this up. Let me tell you just a little bit about myself. People ask me all the time, where are you from? I said, that's a great question. I have no idea. My dad was Navy. I was born in Millington in 1957. I left it 8 weeks later, and for the next 15 years, I lived in Key West, Florida, Virginia Beach, Virginia, Puerto Rico, San Diego, all before the age of 15. Age of 15, we made my dad's last tour of duty, brought us right back to Millington, Tennessee, to the same house they were living in when I was born. I made a big circle. I came back to Millington, Tennessee, there in West Tennessee, outside of Memphis. And it was 1972, and October 12th of that year, I met Jesus. Now, I had been baptized at the age of 10 by a Navy chaplain. I had 5 years been in church, on church rolls. I was in church, but I wasn't in Christ. And there's a difference. That year I met Jesus, and a year later he touched me on the shoulder. He says, young man, I want you in full-time ministry. I said, I don't know what that means. I went to my pastor. I said, what do I do? He said, go to Union University and make a preacher. So I went to Union University to make a preacher. I met Cindy Hoppers. I wish she could be with me tonight. And she's nothing wrong. She's just at home. But she was Gibson County, born and raised, had only left it to see Mammoth Caves. Do you know what happens when a Navy City brat meets, falls in love, and marries a country girl? I'm going to tell you, one of them is going to change. Y'all. And in the process, I became acquainted with the people group I didn't grow up with. Country people. After 10 years of marriage, we found ourselves on the mission field because she, at the tender age of 10, not only had come to know Jesus, she had also been called to be a missionary. And so at the age, after 10 years of marriage, we came to the same page and we found ourselves on the mission field. We came home, and on our first furlough, I began to share how important missions was. And I would get the thank you at the back door, and we're going to pray for you, keep up the good work, and the pats on the back. And I realized I didn't connect. And I said, God, I need something to help connect with people, just how important ministry and missions is. And this is what he gave me. It's a parable in verse. It goes like this. Once upon a whim, I thought it wise and fun to see just how an honest man labors in the sun. I called him Uncle Billy. He had a little place just outside the city, lots of living space. He had a little cattle, some acreage of land, and every now and then he could use an extra hand. So I called to see if I could visit with him. So I had a 3-day weekend. On Friday I could come. Told him I'd like to work, not just eat and sleep. Told him I'd do my best to try and earn my keep. I heard him chuckle softly. You just come home, city dude. We'll see you're resting easy and your belly's full of food. So Friday after work, I drove out to his farm. I told myself country living couldn't be too hard. Pulled in right at supper time. Aunt Millie rang the bell. They showed me to the table while we sat and ate a spell. I'd never seen the likes of food she had for us to eat. There was ham and yam and collard greens and beans and pickled beets. Gravy, mashed potato, corn, black-eyed peas, 2 different kinds of dinner rolls, 3 different kinds of cheese. A quart-sized mason jar of tea with lemon on the side with your choice of 3 desserts, all made with country pride. Uncle Billy bowed his head to thank God for the food. I smiled and thought, this country living's looking pretty good. And when we ate all we could hold, we settled in the den. We watched the early evening news. Then Uncle gave a grin. He rose, walked to the banister and said, you coming, son? Morning start real early here. You better rest up some. I said, it's only 8 o'clock. I'll be up in a while. He shook his head and went to bed. I thought I saw him smile. I watched a movie, brushed my teeth, settled in my bed, never felt a softer pillow underneath my head. If this was country living, I could stand a change of life. Might even think more serious of finding me a wife. Live so simple, eat so well, sleep so warm and glad. Heck, whatever work we did tomorrow couldn't be too bad. My dreams abruptly shattered with the pounding on the door, for the clock beside the bed shined 27 after 4. At first, I thought the pounding would simply go away when I heard my uncle's voice. "You gonna sleep all day?" I looked around. Where am I now? Why is it so dark? And then I heard a rooster crow. A dog began to bark. Oh yes, the farm. It's time to work. I must get out of bed. But my body at the moment wasn't listening to my head. I made it to the kitchen. Aunt Millie wasn't there. Billy called me from the yard. He tried hard not to glare. "We'll start by bringing in the cows. Be careful where you step." I thought it was the morning dew that made my Nikes wet. We must have walked 11 miles bringing in the cows. My legs were sore. My feet were wet. I strained to see the house. We put them in the barn. I headed for the door. Billy said, "I'll milk these 6. You can milk those 4. He showed me how to pull and squeeze, the grip, and where to sit. First was really not too bad. I got the hang of it. By number 4, my fingers sore, my muscles tight in hand, I grabbed 2 pails of fresh squeezed milk. And then I tried to stand. I lumbered to the kitchen door to drop my load and wait. When Billy called me back, said, "Just leave it by the gate. We got a little more to do before we stop and eat. Mom will ring the breakfast bell. You stay on your feet." He took me to a pile of wood and handed me an axe. He said about a cord or so was not too much to ask. I swung and chopped, I hit and missed, my back began to ache, and after 40 minutes passed, he let me take a break. He took me to the pigs and goats and showed me what they ate. The sun had risen. I now could see it didn't look too great. He portioned out the slop. He spread it in a trough. Thought of eating breakfast now only made me cough. He took me to a partial fence, how to dig a hole. 7 post holes 2 feet deep and ground as hard as coal. With blistered hands, stiff shoulders, neck, I tried hard not to show the agony of manual work, and yet he had to know. When like a swell of mission bells, Aunt Millie called us in. Pulled off my gloves, wiped the sweat just rolling down my chin. "Breakfast coming. Hurry now, go wash your hands and face." In less than 20 seconds, I was seated in my place. The smell of coffee, sausage, eggs, salt-cured country ham, biscuits with butter, not margarine. 3 jars of homemade jam erased the memory of agony of all that toil and sweat, and with each bite, my muscles eased, my mind would soon forget. When I dabbed that final bite of biscuit in my plate, I pushed back from the table, my stomach feeling great. I headed for the banister. My uncle called out low, "Just where do you think you're going, son?" As if he didn't know. I thought I'd take a little nap. I sounded like a jerk. He shook his head and softly said, "But son, it's time to start the work." My chin was resting on my chest. My mouth gaped open. I couldn't say intelligently just what I felt inside. I blurted out, "What do you mean it's time to start the work?" I rose before the sun today. I've labored till I hurt. I caught and milked your cows. I chopped a cord of wood. I dug your holes. I placed your post. I gave your pigs their food. I know I'm just a city boy, without callus on my hands, where work is in an office, with no physical demands. But if you don't call what we did work, tell me what's it called? He caught a smile from Millie. And then he slowly drawled, "There's lots of things we do around here just to keep a home. We do them because we have to. And we do them till they're done. Farm don't run all by itself. It's more than rest and meals. Now what you've done we call the chores. Because the work, why, it's out there in the fields. Right about now, it's hitting you." Wait a minute. He ain't talking about the farm. And I'm not. I'm talking about the church. Any given Sunday, morning, evening, Wednesday night, whenever you choose to gather. Folks, let me remind you that everything you do behind these walls are the chores, that operate this household of faith at Dixie Hills Baptist Church. Work doesn't really begin till you walk out those doors. Because the work is in the fields. Whether they are across the street, across the town, across the tracks, across this great state or around this incredible world, God is calling us to join us where He is already at work. And He put it like this. I started with this verse in that article. And by the way, can I interrupt myself just long enough to say, I didn't read you the last paragraph on the pink sheet. Please read the last paragraph on your own. It will tell you how you can talk like the first paragraph was. Please, I should have sung that, but I didn't. But I started with Matthew 9:36. It says, when He looked upon the multitudes, He was moved with compassion, for they were weary and faint, like sheep not having a shepherd. Verse 37 says, and then He said to His disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous. It's the laborers that are few. Would you pray, therefore, the Lord of the harvest to send forth laborers into His harvest? And tonight, would you pray, here I am, Lord. Send me.